Well played, people. I don't know who it was, or maybe there was a handful of people involved in doing something like this, but I got past the 100 subscribers in like a couple days. So thank you. I'm sure there was like some guy in the basement running some type of like algorithm thing to get a robot to get me there, but yeah, it was weird, very weird. But thank you. I know there's at least a few of you guys out there who actually subscribe. So again, next week we're gonna actually celebrate and entertain you guys because now I'm at 100 subscribers. Um, I'll be doing that 100 nugget challenge. So it's gonna be Jeff versus 100 nuggets. I make absolutely no promises on how things are gonna go. Uh, I have no idea how much I can eat. I don't think I'll physically ever be ready for this, but I'll do my best to get the cameras set up and whatnot. So we'll see what happens. On to the point of this video. In today's video, we're going to talk about 5 mistakes that I've made selling on Facebook Marketplace that hopefully as a new beginner or someone who's doing it will kind of learn from my mistakes and be smart about it to avoid some of these things that I'm about to share. So rule number 1, do not deliver unless you're being paid extra for it. And I mean, there's an exception where you could do this and deliver it if it's really close, like 5-10 minutes away, because it's basically like meeting up with them. But yeah, in general, you don't want to deliver to people unless they pay you, because what this does is it fishes out those people who are going to be really cheap towards you. And I've had, I would say, one person who made me deliver to them because it was on a way of somewhere where I was going. I was going to go visit my parents and they were like 5 minutes away. So I did that. And when I got there, she did this, like, that's the soccer, the faking like injury thing where it's like, oh, like someone doesn't even touch you and you like flip over and you pretend like you just got knocked by a train. It was one of those things where she was like inspecting it for a really long period of time, and she found this like little tiny thing, like a little crack in this like flower bowl. It wasn't even a crack, it was like a little chip, a microchip. And she touches it and she's like, I caught myself. I'm gonna give you $20 for it instead of the 30 that we agreed on. And like, I was standing there, I had the baby in the car and the wife. Baby looked like she was getting impatient, and I was just like, you are a moral of the story. Yeah, I shouldn't have sold it to her. I should have just walked away. But moral of the story is don't deliver, because people like that you're gonna fish out right away when you're like, oh, are you willing to pay me extra if I come bring this to you? By the way, these are in no particular order. Rule number 2, don't hold things for people more than a day. It's like, I've made this a rule. If any more than a day, I always make them pay me like a $10 deposit. But yeah, so I have this like Lego friend set. Actually, it's one of these ones right in the back. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, so I held it for a week for her. She's like, oh, it's for my birthday. I just need to wait till I get paid. And then I held it, and there was maybe like 2 people who were asking for the item within that week. And I'm like, no, it's preserved. And then when it came time to actually meeting up on the day, an hour before, she messages me and she says, oh, I found it for $10 cheaper from some other guy. I'm not buying anymore. And I was just like, and so, yeah, I made a rule for myself, basically no holding for more than a day. And usually after like a day or two, people often lose interest. It really depends on the item, but sometimes after a while, they're just like, they don't want anymore. And that usually happens quite a bit. Number 3, this one, this one got ugly. You either don't want to sell retail arbitrage stuff locally if you're getting it locally, or you want to avoid selling stuff that like you buy on clearance that can be found like on the first page of Google. Like, for instance, 2 examples that I have. The first one being like a Disney animated Christmas tree that you were able to buy at Costco. And I think after taxes, it was probably like $155. I was trying to sell it for 180. And yeah, within a week, it blew up and got over 1,000 views. I was not expecting that at all. It was supposed to be a separate experiment, but in the end, I ended up returning it because I was getting a lot of heat for it, and people were trying to buy it from me for way less than it actually retailed for. So I was like, okay, forget it. And what happened like out of those 5 people who were messaging me, it was like, you are the scum of the earth, you rip off. You're such a stupid, evil person. Why would you do something like this? And it kind of got really weird. So I didn't want to deal with that stuff. Now, in an example where it kind of worked out for me was when I purchased a bunch of Squishmallows from Costco at $12.99 each before taxes. So it sold a little bit locally, but when I put it on eBay, that's kind of where it really took off. And on the first page of Google, you really couldn't find it for a while until someone started posting it on like Red Flags Deal, and where people eventually figured it out after like maybe 2, 3 weeks. But it sold really well in places that I guess didn't have it or wasn't in stock for very long, like Quebec. Uh, Most of them ended up going to the States. So I don't think the States or whatever, those areas that I did sell it to had a lot of the product or none at all. And so those are instances where I think it would work out. But yeah, like again, I was saying, if you don't have tough skin or you're trying to resell retail arbitrage stuff locally, um, it doesn't really work out too well. But I'm still trying to figure it out. Hopefully, if you've been doing it, you might have better luck with certain things. But yeah, that was my experience. Number 4 is about e-transfers. So e-transfers can take such a long time, whether you're buying or you're selling. I've had situations where like I was buying like the camera lens and the e-transfer didn't go through till about like half an hour later. But from what I've noticed is CIBC is probably one of the ones that are very varying. It could be anywhere from like 30 seconds to 30 minutes. I've noticed like TD usually goes by pretty quick. But yeah, you could be waiting for quite a while. And as a buyer, seller, not buyer. I said buyer. It's always good to have your e-transfers on auto deposit, so that way they don't have to like fill out any questions, and it's hard for them to cancel it. I don't even know if they can cancel it because it's supposed to go right away. So that's one thing you may want to consider. And yeah, totally. I've actually waited 30 minutes in someone's driveway because the e-transfer was taking so long to send through, and I was buying something that was probably like $900. So the guy didn't want to take the risk on it. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna sit here in the car in your driveway for however long it takes, and just let me know when it goes through. Number 5 is confirm. Always confirm before you meet up. This probably would have taken care of every single ghost situation that I've had. Uh, yeah. So what happens is like an hour to half an hour before I meet up, whether I'm the buyer or the seller, I just message them and say, we're still good to meet up. Because I mean, a lot of the times, I would say like a third to a quarter of the time, they actually are like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm running late. Can we push it back like half an hour or an hour? And that happens pretty often. And I would say too that sometimes they just don't message you back. Like that one time when I was going to meet that guy who forgot his phone with his girlfriend or in her car. That would have been an easy time to avoid driving out in like 20 minutes and then coming back. I should never have done that. So don't do that yourself. Speaking of e-transfers, I actually just received the email. How long was that? Oh, wow. This one was 42 minutes. That's surprising. But anyways, like this guy was with TD. I actually checked when I was about to drive back home. It was in my account, but yeah, 42 minutes to get the email notification. That sucks. So those are 5 main mistakes that I've made while selling things on Facebook Marketplace. And if you're doing this type of stuff yourself, hopefully you can avoid it by learning from my mistakes. So anyways, yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you like this type of content, and I'll see you guys later. So mistake number 3, when I was talking about that animated Christmas tree, there was one person who just like couldn't read. And I thought it was the most funniest thing ever because I don't know what type of person she was, but she was from like the boonies. And she's like, "Can you please send me a video of what it looks like?" And like clearly in the description and the title, it's like brand new, sealed, unopened. And she just kept asking, like it was so sincere and it wasn't a troll. And she kept asking, like, "Can I please see the actual item?" And so I was like, okay, fine. Like, I know this is a huge waste of time. And I showed it to her, and this is the video. She's like, can you please open it? Like, really? I'm not gonna open this for you. It's brand new sealed. No.